What I tell people a lot is it's not that what you're doing is wrong, it's just that it's not enough. My job was whatever the next thing was to learn how to do it, and not just learn how to do it, but learn how to do it and get a result. The key thing going from working for someone to working for myself was the estimation of effort of like, what is it going to take? Like, when you work for someone else, you just get your paycheck. I got to the point where I was talking to so many clients who had been ripped off by marketing companies. I got to the point where I was like, I went to my husband, who is my business partner. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I said, I'm talking to so many people. I feel like we can't help everyone. And it's just, this is so frustrating. It's making the industry look so bad. And I need a break from this. I was like, I just feel burnt out. I'm the one who has to solve the problem. When a client's unhappy, like, this is ultimately on me. No matter if anyone in my company made the mistake, it's on me.
The Accidental Entrepreneur is brought to you with the help of our sponsor, AWeber, the world's leading small business email marketing and automation service provider. Since 1998, AWeber has helped more than 1 million small businesses and entrepreneurs through its suite of web-based email marketing, automation tools, and education. AWeber, the best option when it comes to marketing your business. The podcast is also brought to you by the Alternative Board. Since 1989, the Alternative Board, or TAB, has been one of the leading peer advisory and business coaching organizations for independent business owners and CEOs across the world. By facilitating peer advisory boards, private one-on-one coaching, and strategic planning services, TAB helps business owners improve their businesses in ways that change their lives. And be sure to connect with our affiliate sponsor, GSM Growth Agency. They're boosting e-commerce businesses to 6 and 7 figures in revenue and cover everything from ads and social media influencers to making your website better. GSM Growth Agency focuses on taking businesses from startup success to bigger success, going above and beyond to make sure growth sticks around. They're all about cool ideas, lasting partnerships, and making your mark in the e-commerce world. And be sure to support the podcast by ordering some logo merchandise from our online store. Listen to all of our sponsors' commercials later in this episode and follow their links in the show notes to learn more about their products and services. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm Mitch Beinecker, your host, and I have Erica's going to be on talking about, well, we talk about digital marketing a lot, and I don't think that we can talk enough about it because it's all about sales and business development and that kind of stuff, and people don't know how to do it. And we're going to talk about Erica's book, which has got a cool name, and book writing. I mean, everybody knows I have a book, so y'all need a book. So we'll talk about that. So let's bring Erica on in a few minutes. In a minute or two, let's get on with the show.
The information provided in these episodes is for entertainment purposes only. It is not a guarantee of success or to be construed as advice of any kind. You should always seek advice from local licensed professionals before making any decisions.
The dictionary defines an entrepreneur as a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. People often start a business without much choice, perhaps due to a job loss or just being dissatisfied at work, and they come up with an idea they just know can be successful. They become entrepreneurs by accident. That is to say, their success or failure happens by accident, not with intention. My name is Mitch Beinecker. I'm a corporate attorney and a business advisor. You're listening to The Accidental Entrepreneur, my podcast about how to achieve success on purpose, not by accident. Join me along with our monthly guests, where we share our knowledge and help you get a hold of your business. And now on to today's episode. All right, Erica, thanks for your patience as I play those credits. Saves me time editing. And thanks for coming on the show today. So where are you guys located, you and your husband?
So right now we're in Tampa, Florida.
Oh, okay. East Coast, though. So we're on the same time zone. This morning I was in, where was the guy? I think he was in somewhere in California. So, and I spoke to a guy the other day in Australia. So it was like the morning here. It was like 6 a.m. wherever he was. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I connect around the world now that we do it on Zoom, and I don't have to do it in person, which is nice. So why don't you start with, your background, your story, and then we can get into what you've really been doing for, you said 20 years. And then we could talk more about the pizza book. Well, people know what that means if they keep listening. So,
yeah, of course. So I've been working in digital marketing for over 20 years now. It's what I went to school for. I first started out doing healthcare marketing for private healthcare agencies around the country and really around the world. And then after that, I opened my own agency, and now I have three agencies. And it's been an interesting 20 years to say the least.
Okay. So what do you mean by three agencies? Do they serve different purposes or
Yeah.
like,
So the first agency's been in business for about 15 years. It's called Web
okay,
Content Development. And we do very basic marketing, websites, SEO, content creation, foundational social media management, email campaigns, just that type of thing that really helps business owners save time.
okay,
And then the second company is called V12 Strategies. So what that is a technology company. So it's kind of technologies to manage your marketing, to put automations in place for things like LinkedIn to connect with people.
sure.
Again, save you time and money, but it's really based on technology. Then the third company is sort of our baby, and it's called Create Want, and it is a video production company. So we essentially go all over the world and we'll, video for a couple days straight. We'll do some B-roll, we'll do interviews, and we create corporate videos, and we
Oh,
create
really?
enough social media videos to maybe last a year in some cases.
So a lot of it's like drone work and like
Yeah.
on-site stuff, and you're really doing serious stuff.
Yeah, really cool drone stuff, like
Yeah.
a lot of fun. Like we just did one for Ritz-Carlton in Cancun, and it was
Oh,
like out on
wow.
the boat
Yeah.
with the drone. Super cool. Just it's a really, really creative, fun company.
Nice, nice. So tell me about your background though. So because, you don't just wake up one day and say, I think I'll do digital, or maybe you do. I think I'll do digital marketing, but where did you learn all that stuff? Because I always find it for the average business owner to be really still to this day difficult to really understand and get without help. So where was your background come from?
So funny enough, I finished college, and I think like anyone else, I was like, okay, I'm going to get a job in the marketing industry. And I started working for private healthcare marketing.
Okay.
And it was a newer company, but they had 30 locations. They were in a bunch of different countries. And I think they scaled up to about 100 locations in 30 countries after, a few years went by. And I really learned from like the ground up. Like the day that I started, it was like, okay, first thing to do was media. So at that time, we didn't really have the internet as much.
Yeah.
So it was like we had a commercial that was produced. And so it was calling TV stations, and this was a nonprofit, and getting them to air this public service announcement. And it was just forming relationships, going and meeting with people at different places in the country for TV stations, and
Yeah.
being on radio shows, and just all of that. I call it PR.
Yeah.
It was a PR job. And
Right.
so I did that for like, a couple years, and all of a sudden the internet became popular. So I learned how to HTML code websites.
Oh, you did? Okay. On
Oh,
your
it
own,
was
like
it was
self-taught?
interesting. Yeah, and then, we went from HTML coding websites to Joomla to WordPress, and
Right.
it was just evolution of technology, which is what I've seen in 20 years. And then
Yeah.
from there, social media launched, and it
Yeah. All the
started to get
platform.
huge. So you had Facebook, you had Instagram, now you have TikTok, and you have
Right.
Snapchat. And so it was just learning how to market on these different avenues. And then LinkedIn became huge.
So
And
was it a
so
lot of it self-taught though? I
a
mean,
lot of
because you
it,
weren't a programmer from college or anything, right? So
no,
you just learned it on the fly.
I had to learn it because I was the head of marketing, and, we had quotas, and it ended up being a really big company. And it was like, my job was whatever the next thing was to learn how to do it, and not just learn how to do it, but learn how to do it and get a result. And
So
so
it's a
I
lot of,
just, yeah, over the time, like I think I spent about 10 years with this company, and I just learned to do everything. So then later, when I decided to launch my own agency, I was like, I'm just going to do a full service agency, because in the beginning it was just me.
right.
And I was like, okay, I know how to do everything. And then as time went on, I hired more people and scaled my business. And,
Sure.
that's a very interesting task that a lot of people, I think, underestimate.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you can't even just scale your business just because you want to. You have to, it's got to be ready to do it. And I would assume a lot of the stuff you do is virtual, right? So it's not like you have like a building with 100 employees. You don't really need that nowadays. So you must have people all over the world that you work with, right?
We have people all over the world, but it's funny because we have had, on and off different office settings. And even now we have like a studio. So we use the studio for people who want to come to us and
Yeah.
film with us. And so we have done it both ways. But the thing that I love is just the flexibility of like, okay, how do I want to bring this on? I have a team right now of about 30 people.
Okay.
And,
But they're not
some of
all
my,
like in Tampa with you.
I have a couple key people with me,
Okay.
but most of my people are just all over the country and even all over the world.
Right. Sure. I mean, if they have
Yeah.
an internet connection and a computer, and they can work with you that way. So what would you say? So you worked with this company for, a good 10 years. What would you say when you came out in the world that you felt that a lot of small business owners were doing wrong, didn't get? Like some of the common things that you saw?
So the key thing going from working for someone to working for myself was
Yeah.
the estimation of effort
Okay.
of like, what is it going to take? Like, when you work for someone else, you just get your paycheck.
Of course. You
You,
finish it
you
the
don't,
day and you go home. It's no big deal.
yeah, you finish the day, you go home, you don't really think about all the rest of it. So
Right.
going into my own company, it was like, okay, now I'm the one who has to solve a problem when a client's unhappy. Like, this is
Right.
ultimately on me. No matter if anyone in my company made the mistake, it's on me.
Yeah.
And then what does it really take to ad budget? Before it would just like I would just submit my ad budget for the quarter. This is what I need.
Right.
Well, now I'm having to scale and I'm having to monetize to a point where I profit enough that I can have my ad budget. And my ad budget needs to produce enough so that I can get enough revenue to increase. And so
Right.
doing that, there's a business side that I
For
think
sure.
many entrepreneurs like, they're like, okay, I want to do this. Like, my family, they have a pizza place. I want to make pizza,
Yeah.
but not necessarily how do you run the business aspect of marketing company, pizza place, whatever you're doing.
Right. I think small business owners, I don't know if they really have a budget. They are like, well, how much is going to cost us to do this? Then they got to figure out how to pay for it, how to
Yeah.
justify it, where the money's coming from. So when it comes to marketing, though, when it comes to digital marketing, right? I assume you bring on clients and they're doing something, right? Before they met you, unless they're really a total startup.
Mhm.
What are the kind of things you're doing there you see that they're doing wrong from a marketing standpoint when you take over the account?
Well, I've had a couple, like I have a client on LinkedIn. He's been a client for, 6, 7 years now, but he saw a video that I did on reputation management and reached out to me. And at the time he wasn't doing anything. Like,
Nothing.
he had an old HTML website from like 1993 and there was no, so we basically put him on the map digitally. We did the website, we did the SEO, we did the content, we did the social media. And
Right.
we had some weeks where we did lead generation. We'd bring in 150 leads, 160 leads, and he was
Really?
a staffing company. Yeah.
Right.
To the point where he was kind of like, please turn it down. It's too
Yeah, I
much.
can't keep up with the volume, right?
It became that really like by I think the third or fourth year, it was like, please, we can't take anymore. So
Right.
we did that. And I mean, a lot of companies, they'll come to us. Like, unfortunately, we have some that have been ripped off by marketing companies.
Of course.
They've
Because
paid
they didn't
money.
know what was right or wrong, and
Yeah.
you know. But that client sounds like an ideal client, right? Because you come in and he's almost like a clean slate, and you can build it yourself and build the social media platforms. But is it harder when you come in and these people are doing things that maybe, like you said, they thought were right, and and you're like, this is all wrong? Do you have to start over? Can you fix the website? Do you have to start from scratch? I mean, what are the kind of things you have to focus on? I had to talk with somebody recently about SEO and how, I mean, that's an art in and of itself, and having content and constantly. And then, like, this guy had a website from 1993. He might as well not have a website. I mean, you're so irrelevant, right? Nobody even notices that you're there. So, yeah.
Mm-mm.
So what are the kind of things that you have to fix that you see people trying to do, or their marketers trying to do, that they were doing wrong?
I mean, I've seen anything and everything from
Yeah.
broken websites to broken links on websites to SEO that was just not done at all or done wrong to backlinks that were just spammy and purchased to like, I mean, you name it. And it
Yeah.
has been, it's one thing like, you get a new client, that's a pretty A to B. Like certain industries, you can get a result. If I know I can't get a result for you in your industry, I'm probably not going to take you on.
Right.
But you have people who have been promised results. So I think it's gaining the trust and then
Hmm.
cleaning up what's broken. Like, we had one person who had, I think 20 to 30,000 visitors a month on the website, had a company rebuild the website. They didn't include like any of the blogs, which was like 3,000 pieces. So
It's all their
then
content.
They
Yeah.
lost all their content, they lost all their traffic. So it
Yeah.
was putting those back up, finding the right URLs. It's like it's almost just doing a deep clean, making sure things are done right. Cause like there's a technology to it, just like anything else.
Right.
And there are ways that you do it to get a result. And you'd be surprised of just the funny and interesting and different things that I've seen of just the way things are done where I'm like, why was this done this way? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And then I guess it's kind of like you can't just set it up and kind of forget about it because things change in the background you don't even realize.
Yeah, and I mean, what my husband and I tell people a lot because we work together is like, it's like a diet or your house. It'd be like if you put a website up and then it'd be like you putting a house up and never cleaning it.
Yeah,
It
that's a good
requires
example. Yeah.
yeah, it requires cleaning and maintenance and work. And the same thing, like marketing's like a diet. It's like very consistent.
Right.
You have to do it every day. You have to exercise. It's almost like a checklist. And I think that's what is missed a lot of the time is like you can't necessarily just here, I'm just gonna hit play on the ads and just make $1 million.
Right. Yeah.
That's
No.
like I always have the example, and I've seen it a bunch of times of like the person they think that the level to success is just a straight line. It's like them to success, but it's really this like up and down windy road with all these things that you don't expect, and that's what it is with your marketing.
Yeah. I think you just got to put out content, good content, relevant content, but regular. Like you said, that's why it's hard to do it on your own. Like if you're going to do it and not use a professional like yourself, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to run your business and do that at the same time. I have people that help me and I have stuff that's automated. And I mean, as a lawyer, I kind of like can't just say, oh, Erica, you write the articles. Like you're not a lawyer. So I kind
No.
of have to create them and I have to make sure they're right and then put them in a folder and then whatever. And then I don't do the posting, whatever. But I learned like a long time ago with the podcast that somebody told me that if you want to be relevant, you just got to keep like doing stuff. Like don't say 10 episodes in, nothing's come of this. Like it took me 50, 70, 80 episodes, before I would hear feedback. And now, like how I connected with you, I connect with guests. I don't look for guests anymore. Like they find me, Bookers and all these Podmatch and all those types of different websites. And the whole world's changed. But it wasn't until then that I actually started getting some traction. I think that's the biggest, not mistake, but biggest frustration that business owners have, right? Is that they give up. Oh, I posted on LinkedIn, and
Mhm.
nothing happened. I go once, like that, like you do 10 times and maybe nothing's going to happen to be,
Yeah.
to be relevant in terms of, having a voice online. So I think that people just, they just give up. They, like you said, they think it's straight line to success. And if it didn't happen that way, it must not work.
Yeah, and like the only hack I could say or the secret is like think about what you think it's gonna take and then just 10 times it.
Yeah.
That'd be the
Right.
initial, and maybe even
Yeah.
100. But
Right.
like just initially 10 times that. And if you're
Right.
not getting anything, then 100 times it.
Right.
Then if you're still not getting anything, maybe something else is wrong.
Maybe. Right. But,
Maybe, but
but you
usually
got
you
to give it
will.
a lot of time before you're saying, because I think content, it solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Relevant content. Yeah. Not from 93, obviously, but
No.
you
No,
know,
and Google wants a lot more. Like it
yeah.
used to be like, oh, you could just throw a website up, throw some content up and get some backlinks and you're good to go. Google's they want relevant, they want human written, even though
Yep.
they will take some AI. I
Yeah.
know there's different guidelines for that, and I don't know what's going to come down the pike on that in the next few years. We'll see. It's just a very like an ever changing, they want videos, they want infographics. And what I tell people a lot is it's not that what you're doing is wrong, it's just that it's not enough.
Right. Right. And it's always changing, right? I mean, the environment is growing. There's more sites, there's more content. I mean, it doesn't go anywhere. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. So then they're going to change their algorithm and say, well, wait a second, somebody's going to figure it out and then they want to change it so everybody's kind of a level playing field.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, it's even newly learning and evolving. Like when I pivoted from, doing my marketing, which I still am doing, but to my
Your own
author, it was
marketing.
like
Yeah.
brand new. Okay, how do I launch this from nothing to something
Right.
and
Yeah.
then learn it? And that was even a process of learning.
Now, are there some industries you do more work in than others, like in terms of for clients?
Yeah, real estate, legal, healthcare.
Okay.
Those seems to be the ones that we're pretty dialed in.
That you're
Um,
pretty good with.
Resort hotels for the video type stuff,
That
high-end
makes sense.
apartments.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super beautiful. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was very nice. But for, when I did my book wasn't about marketing. And so many people are like, why didn't you write a book about marketing? It
Right. Yeah.
wasn't my
What?
passion at the
That was my
time.
question. So you just took it out of my mouth. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. I mean, but I guess you're right. You can write about what you're passionate about, right? You don't have to, everything you do doesn't have to be tied to your business. Although I have plenty of colleagues and consultants and people that run on the show and said, you shouldn't have a guest unless they can be a client of yours. I'm like, well, that would narrow the field a little bit since I can only do business in New York and New Jersey,
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
talked to Forbes Counsel too, and Forbes Counsel was like, why, if you have a marketing book, like, let's work together. And I was like, well, no, it's not about marketing at all.
right. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All right. Well, that's a good place. Why don't we take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll talk about your book. We'll talk about book writing and talk about my book. You can criticize it and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, and we'll have a good time. All right. So let's take a
Okay.
break and I'll come back.
Awesome.
Here's a word from our sponsors. Looking to market and grow your business? Or perhaps you're just getting started and want to hit the ground running? AWeber is the best choice for online email marketing and automation of your business. From maintaining a subscriber list to drip campaigns and landing pages, AWeber gives you tools and integrations that make marketing easy and fun. As our partner and sponsor, we use all their tools to promote the podcast and market our law firm. AWeber, the best alternative for online marketing. For over 30 years, the Alternative Board, or TAB, has built a thriving community of forward-thinking CEOs and business owners who want to radically improve their companies. Through unique combinations of one-on-one business coaching, participation in monthly TAB board meetings with other non-competing owners, a suite of strategic tools, and customized strategic planning workshops, TAB membership can deliver greater strength to your business and a better work-life balance for you and your family. All packaged in a streamlined and affordable service that the people at TAB invite you to try risk-free. Are you struggling with managing advertising due to a lack of time or expertise? Perhaps you're facing challenges in scaling ads for your store. Are you feeling lost when strategies have no success? GSM Growth Agency is your reliable partner in overcoming these business challenges. Feel the impact of collaborating with a team dedicated not only to short-term goals, but also to building long-term partnerships and achieving sustained success. Embark on an exciting journey to redefine the possibilities of e-commerce and create a legacy of unparalleled excellence. Take decisive action now. Follow their link in the show notes to receive a complimentary audit of your Shopify store conducted by a GSM expert. Propel your e-commerce game to new heights with GSM Growth Agency. Follow the link in the show notes to learn more about all of our sponsors. And now back to our show. All right. So we could talk a little bit about book writing and how to use it as a tool and how to promote it for yourself and what to use it for. But let's talk about your book, right? So I know your book is called A Story About Pizza, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about it and why the title and what it means, what's it about, and why you chose to write it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. So basically, as we talked about, I was in the marketing industry forever, and I got to the point where I was talking to so many clients who had been ripped off by marketing companies, and I got to the point where I was like, I went to my husband, who is my business partner. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I said, I'm talking to so many people. I feel like we can't help everyone, and it's just this is so frustrating. It's making the industry look so bad,
Right.
and I need a break from this.
Okay.
I was like, I just feel burnout. And so at the time, my dad was having heart surgery. So I was already kind of dealing with stress. And
How long
so
ago was this?
this is probably about 4 years ago or so.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah, maybe 4.5.
Okay.
So my family, when my dad had the surgery, we were in Tampa. We decided to go to Western PA for the year,
Okay.
help my parents. And, we could run what we had there. My husband was still going to do his thing. And I was still going to obviously keep the clients that I had. But I was just like, I need to take a step back. I want to help my parents.
Western PA is like Pittsburgh area.
Yeah. Yep,
Got it.
Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So we relocated, my husband, daughter, and I went there. my dad had just finished surgery and he was struggling. And I noticed that right away. And I thought, you know what? He needs to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, Dad, like, we've had this family pizzeria in our family since 1960. I said, why don't you and I go to the pizza shop? Let's, spend some time together. You can go and do some stuff there, and I'll film some content for you and I'll help you with some marketing. And he was so grumpy. It was after surgery. And he was like, I don't believe in marketing. I said, well, I don't really believe in marketing right now either. So let's
Right, this is good timing.
it's
You had
probably
to
a
get
good time.
open heart surgery? That was a surgery yet?
He got a valve replacement in his heart.
Okay.
Yeah, he had
So
a
could he
leaky
even
valve.
eat pizza at that point? He probably wasn't supposed to eat pizza.
I mean, it was a little while after, but he was barely eating. Like he was just recovering.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
we had the drive. It was probably about a 15-minute drive from their house, maybe 20 minutes. And we go in the car and we go there. And I saw this very interesting change in my father. And he went from like, I think being very scared and having a very hard time to having a purpose. And he started talking to the customers. And when we drove there and back, he would tell me stories about how my grandfather immigrated from Abruzzo and how he opened the pizza shop and he was a coal miner and didn't have anything in the Italian heritage. And we would leave and he would be excited because of who came in. And he would tell me who they were related to and the backstories. And I just became really inspired of like, I want to write this book.
Okay.
And I was filming content there and I was looking at all the relics and I just went ahead and I decided to, interviewed family and did some research and wrote the book. I think it took me like a year and a half.
Okay.
And then I just sort of let it sit for 4 months because I literally didn't know what to do with it. I'd never written a book. So I was like,
Do you have like
okay.
a transcript and it didn't become a book yet?
No, it was
Okay.
finished. It was just sitting. And then
Okay.
I thought, okay, I've been doing marketing 20 years. Like, why don't I just take what I know and just, publish the book?
Yeah, so you can self-publish it. You know how to promote it, right?
Yeah, and so that's what happened. And funny enough, it ended up becoming a bestseller on Amazon and the
Okay.
Italian history category, and it did really well. And we put all these things together, like through our marketing companies, through video book trailer and social media ads, and going on podcasts like yours and many other, launching my own podcast, and it kind of gave me a newfound purpose to do marketing.
Okay.
So yeah, and it was a very good experience, so good to the point that, I published the first book and then decided to publish a 12-book children's series.
Okay. About pizza
Launched
also?
it's about pizza and Italian culture.
Okay.
The
Oh,
first
good.
one's Pietro's Pizza, was out on February 9th.
Okay.
And then I have the rest of them. One of them is actually just got illustrated, so I have to go through it this weekend.
Okay.
And then I have my second novel about Italian Christmases that I'm working on right now.
Nice. So it's all with your heritage and your ethnic background. Yeah. Nice. So the children's book is a 12-book series, but you've only published one and you're illustrating the second one? Is that what you said?
Yeah. We have the first one's Pietro's Pizza. The second
Okay.
one's about pizza toppings, teaches kids about different pizza toppings. And then the third one is about Italian Christmases, but it's for kids.
Okay, got it. And then you're going to come out with one not necessarily every month, but over a period of time until you get to 12. That's the
Yeah,
whole
3 to
slate.
4 a year.
Okay. And are you working with a publisher now, or no, you're still self-publishing it and doing your own promotion? And
So I'm in talks with several agents right now
okay.
because I have the books, I have the book series, and now I have the podcast. So, and I have a lot more than what I had when I started.
Right. There's more intellectual property now.
Yeah, there's a lot more moving parts to this. And, YouTube's been amazing. The podcast, it's just newly launched. I think I've filmed 10 episodes so far, but
Okay.
it's going pretty good. And I'm getting a lot of traction on it. Now, it does help that I built a viral YouTube page for my dad's restaurant. So we have I think 300,000 followers, and we have
Oh,
some
nice. Does
videos
your
with,
dad have a different opinion now about marketing?
oh, he's like put me down as a reference.
That's funny. Well, look, you caught him at the right time, and what's he going to do? And you said, well, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. It's not an end, but it's a great story because it shows that, there's a generation gap there, right? Definitely.
Yeah.
My father the same way, but, before he passed, he was, he just grew up in a world that he was in insurance sales and things like that. It was all door to door, one-to-one prospecting. There was no marketing. He wasn't on social media. He didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Most of my business comes through. It's certainly networking and marketing and stuff like that. Attorneys in New Jersey, at least, can't really just approach you and say, Erica, you need a lawyer? I mean, you might be fine with that, or you can call the ethics department. I mean, one or the other. So, so it's a little bit different kind of a world,
Yeah.
but that's a cool story. So is the podcast just supposed to be like a mini series podcast to like promote each book, or you want to like talk about pizza for the rest of your life?
So the podcast is called Pizza Story Podcast, and I interview family-owned pizzerias and people within like Italian culture and pizza reviewers, and we talk about all the pizza spots. We talk about the stories of how the pizza owners immigrated, and I've even had some people from the UK and Australia and different parts of the world that have gone and opened pizzerias, which has
Yeah.
been really cool.
Well, so you'll never run out of guests. I mean, there's not
Yeah.
thousands. Yeah, exactly.
Pizza
That's
forever.
Cool. Now, you don't necessarily travel to their pizza shop, do you?
I want to. So I'm on season 1 right now, but my goal is eventually to go and, do maybe 12, 15 a season and just travel.
Travel and see them, do them on location, eat the pizza. You're like digital marketers in cars getting pizza. That's what you're going to be doing. Yeah, that's cool. I have a guy who does that too. He's got the hell's this podcast called? Fermented Adventure. So he goes to like wineries and meaderies and I guess breweries too, and he does it on location. And I think he wants to drink. That's maybe why, but he likes to go. I used to do this stuff not on kind of on location. I would take my equipment, like I have a mixing board here and some other stuff, and we would go to like the local business and set up. But then I realized that I don't really have like the video. I mean, you're a video person. I didn't really have like the capacity to videotape. So now I do it through Riverside, and then I can, talk. You're not going to Australia, I would assume, unless you have a real nice budget, to taste the pizza. It's a little far to go for a slice of pizza, but you can do it online and talk to them, right?
Yeah, I mean, someday, but right now I use Riverside too, and it's the same. I mean, I can interview people anywhere, and it's amazing. It's easy, and I get their stories, and their stories are great.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's then talk about the topic you basically introduced, which is writing a book. So I have a book. It is related to my business. It's called 10 Ways to Get Sued by Anyone and Everyone, a Business Owner's Guide to Staying Out of Court. And just like you, not like you, I'm not really much of a writer. I mean, I write contracts all the time, but I have a friend of mine who's a publicist, and he was like, you got to write a book. And I'm like, well, I don't know I'll write it with you. And he had these 10 Ways series. So we ended up, but it took like 3 years because it was a lot of work. And then I started interviewing other attorneys that did things that I don't do. We put the whole thing together. So, and I'm not sure I use it so effectively. Like he's always pushing me to go on, and I promote it through the podcast or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like a digital, brochure, because it talks about the things that you should or shouldn't do. So are you now getting into helping clients with books as a part of their marketing package?
If they ask me, but I don't promote it.
You don't like raise your hand about it?
And you probably know this from having a book. Promoting books and marketing books is a lot of work.
A lot of work. That's why I don't do it enough. Yeah, exactly.
And your book, like your title is incredible. Anyone that owns a business should have and read that book.
Yeah, but they got to know about it, I guess, first, right?
They have to know about it. And the funny thing is like, you don't know who buys your book.
No.
So you can't put them on an email list and market to them.
Right.
So
I have an email list, but it has nothing to do with the book. It has to do with people that have connected with me. And I have marketed the book through the email list, and I do post it. But you're right. It's a different kind of thing. So now that you've put it out there, people listening to this, they know you do books now. All your clients are going to call you. So where should a client start? Should it be something that's personal? Should it be something that's really your opinion, right? I'm asking your opinion. Should it be something that's just focused on their business?
I think it's got to be something that they're really inspired by. It's got to be purpose driven. So if the purpose is to help other businesses, or you really feel like you need to get information out, like I have a friend who she recovered from cancer, and she has a really beautiful story.
Yeah, good story to tell.
Great story to tell. So I think it's that, but also there's so many people that put all this time into writing these very beautiful books, but you need a marketing plan.
Yeah, because then what do you do with it? It's just a transcript on the shelf.
Yeah, and you need to start marketing your book, but way before your book is published.
Wow,
I would say a year.
Yeah.
And you have to establish yourself online as an author.
Okay,
so that's the other part.
Okay. Yeah. So we did not promote the book ahead of time. A little bit. As it was getting closer, we did it. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't consider myself an author at all. I mean, the book isn't even written like that. It's not like a story about pizza. It's a resource book, if you will, right? It's not really a parable or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I'll be honest with my book, like, I didn't promote my first one before because I was, like, under the impression that I could do these pre-orders because I had knew nothing about publishing books, and then it turned out we couldn't, and then my book came out, it was, like, August 1st, and then I think I pouted for 2 weeks because I was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do," and then I was like, "Okay, let me just implement my marketing plan," and then I just made up for lost time by just press release, podcast, promotion, social media, ads, video. Like I just had to just quickly, very, very quickly, because I
right.
only had 2 weeks and I needed to like move. So
Right.
then by the time the second book came, I was like, okay, I need to start promoting this children's book. I think I started in like November.
Got it. But you can't, but like through Amazon, they don't let you do pre-order stuff.
No, no, or not Ingram Spark either. But well, they'll let you do it with a Kindle.
Okay.
But for the paper books, no, and like for the children's books, like the kids aren't gonna want a Kindle necessarily. Like
I
they
don't
want
think
the
so, right? They don't use
book.
Kindles,
Yeah.
do they? Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Unless it's an animated book where you have like, I guess you could turn the book. I've seen people do that where they turn the book into a podcast and they have interviews in there that you can't have in a book, obviously. I mean, you can have interviews in print, but you can't be too dynamic about it. So you could do that, I guess. We did a Kindle version of the book, and no, I take that back. We did an audio version of the book,
Mhm.
an audible version. What a nightmare that was. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't just sit. I had a guy tell me the other day, oh, yeah, no, we're going 3 days, we're going to record the book. I go, good luck. I can't. You start like stumbling over your words and you can't, your mouth starts, you got,
Yeah.
3-4 hours at the most is really a hard session. And then we'd have to come 4 or 5, different times over weeks to be able to read these things.
Yeah. It's I have not so a bunch of people have asked me to do that with my first book, and I'm like, "I just don't know that I wanna sit and read this book out loud."
Yeah. You got to do it in parts and it's got to be done a certain way. And you have to have a sound engineer, make sure the decibels are right because Amazon will send it back. Audible will tell you this is not right. And you got to fix this. And it's difficult, but we did it. So I don't know if anybody's buying it, but
Nice.
I don't get royalty checks too often. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But okay. So then if somebody were to, I guess the biggest problem that people have is, like you said, and maybe that's why they got to be motivated about the topic, right? Is how does somebody go about writing a book? I mean, not everybody can write. It just doesn't flow from the pen. My daughter's a very good creative writer. Most people I know are not. So what do you say to people? I mean, you're not a ghostwriter, right? So you're not going to write the book for them. There are people that
No.
do that. So what do you tell them if they go, well, I do want to write a book, Erica, but I don't know what to do and how to do it?
I mean, what I started with is outline and storyboarding.
Okay.
And
Just
one
kind of
thing
sketching it
AI
out.
sketching out one thing AI is really good for is providing you with guides and,
Hmm.
"Hey, here's how you do a storyboard," and, like, with my new book, I have every single chapter outlined and storyboarded and who the characters are and what the chapter's about, and it's become much easier in my second version because the first one I just from inspiration was just writing, but, I worked in the marketing industry for 20 years. I'm a writer by trade, like, I
Yeah.
went to school for it. So, I had that, but if you don't, the outlining and the storyboarding and then writing it, I think, and then going through and, like, really putting in a lot of detail, like you're telling it to someone for the very first time, and it's gonna take time. It's
Yeah.
not you can't just sit a day and just
Well, you said you did it in a year and a half. I don't know how you did that.
I had COVID.
Oh,
So
that
I
helps.
I had to stay home for some
Yeah.
time, a few weeks, and I have a lot of energy and I get bored. So I
Even
just
with
was
COVID, you had energy?
I was just yeah, I was just writing, 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 writing.
Yeah. Yeah. For most people, it's not. I mean, I couldn't, I would write for a while, but then I also have to make a living. I got to run the practice. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would put it down, or I would just like wouldn't even know what else to say. It was writer's block. So then you go back to it. But yeah, he's like, let's write another book. I'm like, write another book? No way. Like, I might do another version, like update the book, but I don't know about, doing the book. But
Yeah.
I put hats off to people that really, they're on their third or fourth book. But you're
Yeah,
right.
I've
It is a
grown to
form of
admire
marketing. I
that.
mean, yeah, I can't do it. So how do people kind of connect with you and, work with you if they want to, or learn from you, or where are you doing most of your postings and stuff?
I mean, a storyaboutpizza.com.
Okay. Oh, that's a good website. That was
Easy.
available.
Yeah, just search for Story About Pizza. Create1.com, but really Story About Pizza is like has all the podcasts. That's where you can get a hold of me the easiest. There's stuff going up there like every day.
And the podcast, I assume, is on Spotify. Well,
Yeah.
let's see. I'll just check. Let me follow you
Yeah.
right now. Let's find you. I didn't even know when we talked that there was a podcast. So it's a story about pizza.
And it's a pizza story. It's Pizza Story Podcast. That's what it's called.
Oh, it's called Pizza Story Podcast. Okay,
Mhm.
put that name. Pizza. Did you trademark the name?
I did not, and I probably should. So maybe
Yeah,
you and I should talk.
Here we go. Oh, by Erica. Here we go. I don't do that kind of work. Pizza Story
Okay.
Podcast. Let's see. Yeah. 10 episodes, just like you said.
Yep.
And last one was with Eddie's Pizza.
Oh, he's such a good guest.
Okay, I'll have to listen to that one then. Where's his pizza place?
So here's the funny thing about this guest. So he has over 300,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Okay.
He's a guy who bought the Pizza Bible. It's a book, and he basically started going through. It's by Tony Gemignani, who's like very famous in the pizza industry.
Okay.
And he started baking all the recipes, and then
it's a cookbook for pizza.
Yeah. And then he went to the Pizza Expo, and he ended up winning all these awards, and he just became famous in the pizza industry. Yeah, and he's amazing. He's really cool, down to earth, and just an awesome guest.
Where's he located?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, so that's how you found him, because that's your old stomping grounds?
Well, I have my daughter who helps me. She's like my marketing assistant, and she goes and she vets all the pizzerias, and then she reaches out to get guests so we found him through there, and he was like, yeah, come on. And we were like, great.
Nice. All right, I'll definitely listen to that one first. It's on Spotify, but it's also on
YouTube,
video.
Apple Podcasts.
Got it. But it's a video podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Because Spotify, you can do video now too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. All right. See, my biggest problem, and a little confession, is that I can't eat cheese. Like, I can't digest cheese unless it's like fat free or fake, or it's fake, like vegan cheese or whatever. So so my wife, who's half Italian, right? And I grew up in a town that was probably 90% Italians, pizza places everywhere. You can't even imagine how many pizza places were in my small town, little town. Couldn't eat the pizza. When I was young, I could eat the pizza, but as I got older, I guess the stress of law school and college, whatever, just killed me. So yeah, so I don't enjoy pizza, but I mean, I love pizza when I can eat it. But so if you ever find really good pizza places that have like cheese that's either fat free or vegan cheese, let me know. There's a place in Baltimore, I think it was Baltimore we were in, called Joe's Square or something like that. They make square pizza on these like racks, really thin. They can do vegan cheese. We were there once. I think it was Baltimore, somewhere in the DC area, Baltimore, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, my family's pizzeria, they do 2 pizzas that don't have cheese that are absolutely amazing.
There you go.
One's a tomato pepper and one's a tomato pie, and it's like homegrown San Marzano tomatoes. They make sauce, dough's fresh, and so sometimes I'll just go there and get those.
Like a vegan pizza, basically, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Nice. All right, well, now I'm hungry. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
All right, so let's put a link in the show notes to your book.
Okay.
It's available on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
If you want, the last podcast I had on with his books, I offered to, like, the first 5 people that contact him will get us a copy of the book. If you can get them to me, like, at cost or something, and then we can put it out there. It's probably come out in, let's say, 2 or 3 months. And yeah. All right. All right. So let me run the closing credits, and then just stick around for a few minutes. Okay. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Accidental Entrepreneur. Opening and closing music written and performed by Howie Moskovich and made to order music. For information about Howie and his music services, please follow the link in our show notes. If you like the podcast, please tell others about us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and most of the other podcast directories. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review and feel free to share our episodes on social media. If you have any questions or comments, ideas for the show, or you'd even like to appear as a guest, reach out to us by email at info@beinhackerlaw.com.
The Accidental Entrepreneur is hosted by Mitch Beinhacker and produced by Beinhacker Law. If you'd like to learn more about our business and legal services, you can find us on social media or visit our website at beinhackerlaw.com. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to our feed to be notified of all future episodes.